welcome to Life Guidance from Beyond. We're your hosts, Deborah Rogers, holistic occupational therapist, certified trauma specialist, and intuitive healer, and
Jenna Murthy, communications executive by day, and intuitive medium and spiritual coach by night. On our show, we'll be channeling wisdom from beyond to help you tackle the everyday challenges of being human.
So let's explore the wisdom beyond and find new ways to navigate life together.
Hello and welcome back to Life Guidance from Beyond.
Hi everyone.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Deborah. Thanks for joining us.
So today we're excited to be here to talk a little bit about coping mechanisms for the trying times we're having, especially in America right now. There's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of people butting heads, and there's a crazy news cycle, and so we thought we would share some tips on how to help you cope with this, because we each have our own coping mechanisms. And if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right. And then at the end, stay tuned because Jenna will be doing a little Akashic record reading to help with some more guidance for us.
Yes. So you were telling me earlier, you have some really practical ways that you're able to help regulate your nervous system. And I thought that would be so helpful to share.
So, yeah, I was telling Jenna that actually in the pain management class I run for pain and anxiety, and also for some clients, I talk about something called the dog mind versus the lion mind. And you can also Google that, and there's an actual meditation on it. I forgot who created it. But what it's all about is when we throw a bone, if everybody knows the dog goes right after the bone. If we throw a bone to a lion, do you remember those pictures if you ever see on like National Geographic, the lion is just sitting there, waiting, observing, just taking in the whole scene. And, you know, he could go for the bone, he could just stay there. He could like eat me, right? So he's not as reactive. And so I think this type of perspective is very important in what can be some very trying times for many people now. And what it really is, it's about stepping back. So what's happening is right now in the government, there's so much is happening at once. It's just overwhelming, right? And then we become if we don't agree with it, that is, we become very stressed and very dysregulated. And so then a day or two later, maybe something's rescinded or like a judge stops something. And then so maybe we calm down a little more like, oh, okay, there's going to be a little more time to like assess this or analyze it. And then something else happens and we go off. So what's happening is we're going up and down in our regulation. And it's one of the worst things that can happen because that gets so hard to regulate ourselves. We're in constant dysregulation. And so the idea of like the lion's mind is just stepping back and pausing. So if we hear something that maybe we don't agree with or may be nerve-wracking, it's not like we're not doing anything, but we're waiting. Like just wait for a day or two and just see what happens. Allow yourself time to process it. And then you can respond from a better place, a less hyper-aroused or even frozen state, right? So if you want to respond, you can be writing to congressmen and women, or you can, whatever works for you, but you're coming from a more regulated place. So I find that very helpful for so many things and what's going on now too. Just learning to regulate ourselves, step back, pause, take it in for a few days, and really settle in yourself, right? Instead of getting out of your body.
Instead of chasing the bone, which is the news cycle.
Right.
Up and down.
Exactly. And knowing that, like, a lot of news is very sensational, right?
Yes.
So that kind of leads to my second way of how I cope, and that is I find it very helpful to do research. So I start watching videos of journalists or reading different articles. And what that helps me feel is like, knowledge is power. So it's almost like we start learning the reasoning behind actions or what's going on. But it helps me feel like, I have like a little more sense of control because I'm understanding more of why something's happening. It doesn't mean I necessarily have to agree with it, but it's almost like it comes together a little more and I get to settle. It also gives, when you're doing research and stuff, you also can have a little more time settling with that information, right? And you have more time to process it too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think the volume in which information's coming at us is faster than I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it's not our bodies simply aren't built to handle this. It's really overwhelming.
It's very dysregulating. Other way that, I've been kind of analyzing myself, learning ways to cope during this time, which is a much more fun way. Like one night I couldn't sleep. So what I did is I started watching all the late night shows. And they're always making jokes about what's going on in the present day, right, in the news. And yes, I did learn some things I didn't even know, but it was so good to be able to just laugh.
Raising that vibration. There's something to that. There's something major to that. And the content is writing itself right now,
right,
for these Saturday Night Live writers.
Oh my gosh,
the late night shows, right? So it's good that they can help make you laugh because it's
and I
medicine.
think true, like laughing is medicine, and so it kind of helped me step back and separate a little more from, like from the emotions, from the swirling thoughts. So just doing something that brings you joy, or just finding a way to laugh, or even watching the late night shows. I'm going to do a plug for them because it was really good.
Awesome.
And then the fourth thing is I actually pulled a card of what advice to also give. And the card is retreat into nature. And I find this, that's so important. When you go out into nature, it's healing. In Japan, they even give prescriptions for forest bathing, going out into the woods, because just the energy from the trees, like literally, there is energy from the trees that can help resonate and heal us. And it takes you out of everything, right? You kind of are able to get grounded and centered again and just appreciate nature and what's around you. Even if it's cold and yucky weather, it can still be helpful. Right? There's something about being in the quiet of nature. So.
Yeah, I've heard that. My idea of taking a walk in nature is going down Park Avenue and looking in the store windows on Fifth Ave, and that's my idea of a relaxing walk. But I've heard nature is good for us.
Yeah, and I'm the tree hugger.
Yes, you are.
Literally.
So some of the ways I've been coping is finding YouTubers who resonate with me. So when I watch them, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like confident in what they're saying. So I feel into what I'm listening to. Do I believe in what this person's saying? I don't just take it for face value. So I've found some great YouTubers by just looking around under the spirituality area. And because for me, I like to think that there's a higher meaning for all of this chaos. That is what gets me through every day, honestly, is that there has to be more to this. There's a reason it's happening. And some philosophies that I've heard about from these YouTubers is that the systems that we have in place today aren't working for our society anymore. And so they need to break down before they can be rebuilt in a better way for all of humanity. And that in itself gives me comfort.
Yeah.
Even if it's not exactly what's happening. To me, it really resonates deeply. So I believe that better will come about as a result of the chaos.
And you said that in the short podcast that you did, in the prediction, like in the end of that podcast. I think this was like maybe 10 minutes, but you were predicting like what was going to be coming.
Yeah,
like there was going to be
times.
A shift where
Yes. And it's hard to really believe that on some days, but I find a lot of comfort in that. And then I also love to listen to podcasts, and there are some really great political podcasts out there. There's one called Pod Save America, which one of my colleagues turned me on to, and it's Obama's speechwriters and communicators. So for me as a communicator, it's amazing to listen to their perspective, because my God, this is like the opposite of the way things are being communicated to the public now is the opposite of how we are trained in communications. But it's a very potentially deliberate method for creating chaos and confusion, and there could be a purpose to that as well. So I love hearing their perspectives. And then,
what's the name of that again?
Pod Save America.
Pod Save America. Okay.
And then for the days I need good mental health, I'm so obsessed with Mel Robbins now. I love her podcast. There are she has tips and tricks, because I'm very practical, as is probably evident. I like these quick, helpful tips that I can try to see if I can make myself better in some little way. So I've actually been trying one of her techniques, which is high-fiving yourself in the mirror in the morning. So ridiculous. But high-fiving that mirror.
That's awesome.
And it's a part of her morning routine. And she has a whole bunch of data behind, scientific data behind why that's helpful for your system. And I've tried for a few days in a row now to create these new habits that she suggests, so that I feel more in control, which at this point nobody feels in control.
Right. I think that's the whole point of the coping mechanisms, is how can you feel more in control when things seem to be very chaotic and everything seems to be getting dismantled. Whether you're happy about it or not, we still need, when I think of the nervous system, we still need regulation and to feel a sense of control.
Yeah. And she has this simple 5-step process every morning to do when you get up that makes you feel like you're taking control of your life, makes you feel like you've got it together. It also scientifically helps you wake up. And then I love the Archangel Raphael channeler, who is so amazing. Her energy
beautiful.
Is energy is beautiful.
I feel like we're doing a podcast review.
Yeah. This is my world. This is how I cope.
I'll have to put this in write this in.
So she channels the Archangel Raphael. Has been doing so, I think she said, since the 80s, which was way before channeling was acceptable, so to speak. And she's delivers messages with such grace. Yeah. She can say things that are, I don't want to say warnings, but caution you.
Yeah.
In the kindest, most loving way. And I think that vibration is really important right now, because that's what we're lacking a lot of with our news cycles that we're getting. It's very harsh and alarming, and she is the complete opposite. So I find I love her recaps of what's going on in the world, how the angel recommends we navigate. So that's also been a really helpful.
Yeah.
Helpful content.
Her presence alone is calming.
It is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So would you like to do an Akashic reading for people?
Yes. I'm going to center myself a little. I already read, I always read a prayer before I go into the Akasha. It invokes loved ones who've passed. It invokes angels and guides. And
it's Linda Howe's prayer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Linda Howe. That's the methodology that I've been trained in. And I love it. I love it. So when I went in, I asked to know what you as viewers or listeners would find helpful in this chaotic time. And so let's see. All right. So immediately I'm hearing community. Finding a sense of community with those that you can trust and lean on. Finding like-minded people is really important right now. And like-minded, meaning empathetic humans, it doesn't mean you have to be the same political viewpoints. It's really finding commonalities. It could be as simple as the fact that you're neighbors and you're coming together and you're lifting each other up and doing little house parties, charcuterie board displays that she was sharing with me earlier.
It's all in on Instagram.
Having fun moments together to raise that vibration is really helpful, and really it's not a hard thing to do to get a few people together. It doesn't cost money to get people together, especially if you're just in this neighborhood. You could do potluck. You could play board games. You could go back to the basics of how we once lived a simpler life.
Well, even getting off of maybe social media or TV more, it sounds almost like. Are you thinking that, or when you're thinking community?
I'm thinking that the talking, like the connection,
Yeah.
the human connection is more important now than ever. And that is a big gap that we've developed because we're on our phones and we're on our computers and we're working from home, many of us. And so we're very isolated. And it's almost like it's happened slowly over time. And now it's become the new normal, not to be so talkative with others, like connecting with others, and especially in your neighborhood. So what I'm hearing is that is the single most important thing right now is community and showing that you care about others, checking in on your neighbors and asking them how they're doing. That not only provides love and caring for that person, they will feel like cared about. It also releases endorphins in your body as the person doing that because you know you're doing a good thing by checking in on them. That is raising both vibrations. And I think that's, okay, so they're saying that's the point. Do things together that raise collective vibrations. When we can do that on a broad scale, say we do that down the East Coast, for example, that can really shift what happens in the world because what we focus on, we can manifest. So if we are completely obsessing over the news and we're worried and we're thinking the worst, we don't want to bring that on. When you're in a higher vibration and you have some joy, maybe you're watching some late night shows, that raising that vibration makes it harder for you to be in a state of worry. And that vibration brings more of that toward you. So the more positive and upbeat and truly peaceful you can get yourself to, the better your experience will be in life. It's almost like the glasses that you're wearing, the lenses you're wearing. If you're wearing lenses that are looking for bad, you're going to see the bad. But if you're wearing lenses that have hope in them, you're going to see a different perspective. And so they're saying to keep that in mind. The perspective that's being shown to us on the news doesn't have to become our perspective. We don't have to take it at face value. We don't have to even listen to it. It's important to have a bit of a distance so that we're not emotionally getting sucked in.
Like the lion's mind.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love what you say about checking in on your neighbor because what that is, it's you're stopping the divide, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter what political party you're in or anything. It's just one human being to another human being, which is really what this should be. Life really should be about, right? It's just about being a community, showing kindness, compassion. Right. It doesn't have to be a divide and hatred and
very much feels like the divide and hatred has been so kicked up.
Yeah.
It's so front of mind that it's almost impossible not to feel it, especially when you're an empath and you feel everybody else's feelings.
Yeah.
So you really have to look out for yourself and others, however that is best for you and your system.
Yeah. Yeah, that was beautiful what you said. That was great.
Oh, I feel like let's see if there's anything else. Be kind to yourself. Be easy on yourself.
Give yourself a high five.
Give yourself a high five. Yes. So that, I think we'll close with that advice.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope these tips helped you. And I hope even one thing just stood out that maybe that you could use to help you through these times. And remember, what Jenna was saying. It's just about find your community, build a community, expand that community. And just because someone has different political views doesn't mean that person doesn't have to be part of your community, right? We're all human beings. We're all wanting the same things. Just sometimes we're looking at things differently, but we're still wanting the same things. And everybody needs a community. And I just want to add too, because I'm on my nervous system kick, but if anybody knows about the polyvagal theory or just that being with other people, we're social beings, so it is one of the most important things you can do for yourself to help regulate yourself. And it's called co-regulation, because other people you're with are helping to regulate your system because you're with them, and then you're helping to regulate them because you're also with them. And it's just, we're meant to be social. So it's so important for our nervous systems, and just remembering that.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, we'll see you back here soon.
And if you liked this, don't forget to like the show, and we appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on Life Guidance from Beyond. We appreciate your listening. And don't forget to subscribe.